Get ready with me while I talk about how I have the record of most detentions and referrals given at once at my old middle school. So this story dates back to 2020. I'm not currently in middle school. And it's also the reason I don't have a dad right now. So this was the very beginning of 2020. I had just gotten a new phone. I got the new iPhone 11. So I gave my old phone back to my dad so that he could sell it or do whatever he needed to do with it. So I had no idea, but my dad started looking through my old phone and like watching the stuff I watched on YouTube back to see if it had a curse word or something. Like it was a really strict household, so I kind of couldn't really do anything without getting in trouble. On my phone, I had text messages. It was like a math group chat with all my friends in my math class, and we would send the homework answers to each other to like check our answers or just like have the homework, which our teacher allowed. So this was not something I thought I had to be hiding. So my dad found that and he called the school and told them that I was taking pictures of my math test during the test and giving the answers to people. I don't know how one can exaggerate so much, but that was the day I learned he could. And then he found on my phone that I had photoshopped someone's report card for them only to print it out so she could show her parents, which like I guess is like lying or something, I don't know. But it's not like I hacked the entire school system and changed her grades. Like on that note, my dad called them and told them I hacked the system. Like the next thing is I had snuck out of my homeroom class, which my teacher didn't really care what we did, so I didn't really think it was a big deal because like she didn't really care. My dad told them I snuck out of all my classes, which way different. Like no, I did not sneak out of a real class. Plus all my attendance was there, so it's like how can you even prove it, you know? And the last thing I remember him finding is that I had snuck out of ACEs, which if you don't know what ACEs is, it's like students that have to come to school early because their parents have work, or like students have to stay after school late because their parents have work. So when I was at the morning ACEs, me and a group of my friends all walked to this one girl's house who was also in ACEs because her house was super close and there was like a grocery store really close, so we just like go and get snacks, and we did this like twice or 3 times. But yeah, he found out about one of those times and told the school that I just ditched school completely. Like, how are you gonna say that when my attendance is there? Like, school didn't even technically start yet, so did I really do anything that bad? Then, when I got to school the next day, I was pulled into the office, and I didn't know he had called. Well, and then they told me that he was the one that called, and I was like, girl, what? They pulled me in, and they told me that I had gotten 11 detentions and 4 referrals. And 4 referrals adds up to a suspension at my middle school, but since I had got them all at once, they, like, cut me some slack. And also because I had like perfect grades. I was like a really good student. They were kind of skeptical themselves of what my dad was saying, which I was kind of shocked, but like they were real ones for that. The guy told me, he was like, you know, I don't want to give you any of these attentions because you're such a good student, but like your dad is making us. Like literally bar for bar.
Get ready with me to potentially be expelled from my school. I'm sure you're all wondering, like, what have you done to potentially be expelled from your school? So I'm just going to talk to you guys about the situation and what led up to this. So yesterday there was a group of girls that were just screaming my name and looking at me and laughing. And I just kind of thought like nothing of it. I just thought like, you know what, it's just girls messing about. It's okay. I don't care. But then they started screaming like, come over here. You need to come over to us and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not about to walk over to a group of girls that are like literally screaming at me. Like, I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. So I started walking away and the girls literally followed me and kept screaming at me. That's what I started to think, like, what have I done? Like, have I done something? Like, why are they following me? They continued following me until I turned around and just said, like, why are you following me? Like, what have I done? And they just said to me, like, why are you walking away from us? Like, that's really rude. You shouldn't walk away from people when they're talking to you. And I just said to them, like, you weren't talking to me. You were screaming at me. And they just said, like, well, that's the same thing. We were trying to talk to you, and you just kept walking away from us. Why? And I just said, like, well, I don't know why you're trying to talk to me when I don't know who the hell you are. They continued to follow me around, so I just said to them, like, look, I know you guys haven't really done much, but if y'all continue to follow me around, I will have to get a teacher involved because y'all are starting to, like, scare me, I guess. After I said that, all of the girls just started laughing, and I just thought to myself, like, why the heck are they all laughing? Like, this is not a funny situation. Like, they're literally being nasty. Then one of the girls says to me, like, oh, you can tell a teacher, but a teacher is not going to do anything. Trust me. So I said, fine, like, I will. So I went over to a teacher and told the teacher the situation, literally not because I'm a snitch, but just to, like, prove a point that a teacher will do something. But it turns out the girls were right, and I was very wrong because one of the girls, in fact, the main girl who was screaming my name and arguing with me was the headmistress's daughter. And the headmistress had no intention of telling off her daughter, so I was the one that got in trouble. And basically, when the headmistress asked me to explain the situation, I did, but then the girls, including her daughter, switched up the situation and made out like I was the one being nasty and mean and rude, which was just not how the situation went. And then at that point, including the headmistress, everyone was ganging up on me, and I just thought, like, what the actual fuck? So I just said to her, like, you can't just favorite your daughter because she's your daughter. Like, your daughter has just been harassing me with her friends. You need to actually listen to what I'm saying. And after I said that, she sent me home, and as soon as I got home, my mom received a phone call basically saying that me and my mom need to be at the school tomorrow for a meeting with the headmistress. I really hope I don't get suspended or expelled or whatever, because first of all, it just would be so unfair because I literally did nothing wrong. But second of all, like, I actually quite like that school. Like, there's been no issues at that school other than this one issue. So I feel like it would be a shame for me to get expelled, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. It is what it is. Oh my gosh, it is what it is if I do. I literally need to be at the meeting in 15 minutes, and I'm pretty sure if I'm late, I will literally get screamed at. And obviously, I'm already in enough trouble with the headmistress as it is. Anyways, I will 1000% update y'all later. Love you guys so much. Bye.
I seriously cannot stand the type of people that always have something to say when you tell them something about yourself. Like, okay, for an example, I remember when I had got my car, right before I got my car, I had my car that my parents had bought me from high school. And so I was like, well, I'm going to get myself a luxury car. I'm going to buy myself a luxury car. And of course, you know, when you tell people, they're like, I wouldn't have a luxury car. I wouldn't buy a luxury car. You know how expensive the maintenance is on that thing. You know how high your car note is going to be. You know this, and this. Just trying to talk so much fear and talk me out of things that I said I wanted. I didn't ask you to pay my car note. I didn't ask you to help me with maintenance on my car. I didn't ask you for that. I just told you what I wanted when you asked me what I wanted. I cannot stand those type of people, because in reality, if they could do whatever it is outside of the car example, whatever it is, they would do it too. I don't go around telling nobody, oh, you should do that. Just like when I moved to Georgia, people were like, oh, I wouldn't live in Georgia. All that traffic and how expensive it is. I didn't ask you to come here. People will try to talk so much fear and project their fears onto you so that you don't accomplish and or do the things that you really want to do, because they have been too afraid to do the things that you went ahead and did. I did go ahead and buy myself my luxury car. It was everything that I asked the Lord for from the top to the bottom. Not a thing that I asked him for was not the thing that I did not get. Okay? So I just started telling people when I'm done with it. I don't tell you in the process of me doing it. I don't need your negativity.
Have you ever had a date that was so bad it just kind of made you angry? I had a first date last night, and this man disappointed me in every single way. First, we met on Hinge, which I know I'm trying to get off of dating apps. Anyway, we met on Hinge. This man lied about his profile. He said he was 6'1". I went to the bathroom and checked. He was not. This man was 5'7" on a good day. Also, none of his pictures were recent. In one of the pictures, it was him when he was in Egypt, and I asked him about it, and he said that he went to Egypt before COVID. But looks aside, I was like, okay, so I didn't recognize him when he first came in because he didn't look like his pictures. So that our first initial interaction was very awkward because I was talking to someone else at the bar. He just came up beside me, didn't introduce himself, didn't tap me, didn't give any indication that he was my date. It wasn't until I just happened to look over where I was like, oh, and he was just sitting next to me. And I was like, that's weird. Then this man and I went to the same undergrad, and he started talking about undergrad and how it was. And I could tell that it was just given reliving the glory days, the questions that he were asking. I was like, this was a decade ago. Who cares? He's like, oh, where did you used to go out when you in undergrad? I was like, why does it even matter anymore? He was also really surprised that I never went back to visit my undergrad. And I was like, why would I go back? I'm still friends with people, and most of my friends are in the city or I happen to see them. I don't need to physically go to a place. And then he was like, oh, so you're someone who only does things that are convenient for you. I was like, what are you talking about? No. Then we're talking about travel, which I love to discuss. He says he doesn't have any trips coming up and he wants to go back to Vietnam. I mentioned that I'd never been to Asia before. You would have thought I told this man that I'd never been to Queens from his reaction. He's like, you've never been to Asia? And I was like, that is exactly what I just said. And then he starts talking about the importance of traveling. And then I just got in the car and drove away.